The wedding was over, but the echoes of laughter music and golden lights still lingered in their memories, like the aftertaste of sweet wine. Jack and Li Tutian returned to a quieter home, their fingers still intertwined hearts, still brimming with the warmth of promises exchanged beneath the altar's glow. Life, it seemed, had opened a new chapter, one that would be written not with grand ceremonies, but with the quiet brushstrokes of love in everyday moments. Days after the wedding, the house felt different. It wasn't just the rings on their fingers or the photos framed on the wall. It was the air itself, thicker with tenderness, as if the walls understood that a new life was beginning here. Jack, once the sharp, ambitious CEO, always chasing the clock, started lingering at home a little longer. His laptop often sat closed on the table, while he cooked clumsy breakfasts that made Li Tutian laugh until her cheeks hurt. She would tease him about the uneven pancakes, and he would grin sheepishly, secretly proud each time she finished every bite. One rainy afternoon, when the scent of wet earth drifted through the open window, they received the news, the tiny, miraculous heartbeat fluttering inside her. The doctor's words were gentle, but the sound from the monitor filled the room like music from another world. Jack froze, his hand gripping Li Tutian's tighter than ever, eyes glistening as if he had just been handed the universe itself. Li Tutian, her lashes wet with tears, could only smile through trembling lips. That sound changed everything. The wedding was the beginning of their life together. This heartbeat was the beginning of their family. From that day forward, Jack treated her as if she were made of glass and stardust. He canceled late meetings, turned down weekend trips, and filled their evenings with soft guitar melodies he composed himself. The neighbors often saw them walking slowly in the park, hand in hand, as if time itself had decided to slow down for them. The golden leaves crunched under their feet. The world bathed in autumn light while they spoke in low voices about baby names, future dreams, and the kind of parents they hoped to be. But pregnancy was not all poetry. There were days when nausea kept Li Tutian curled up in bed, pale and exhausted. Nights when backaches refused to let her sleep. Moments when fear tiptoed into her mind. Fear of the unknown, of whether she would be enough, of whether life would change too quickly. Jack met every fear with quiet strength. He learned to cook proper, healthy meals after watching endless tutorials, standing in the kitchen with his sleeves rolled up, burning a few dinners, but never his determination. Each bowl of soup, each cup of warm tea carried unspoken words. I'm here. We're in this together. He signed them up for prenatal classes, walking into the softly lit rooms with a seriousness that made the instructors smile. Other fathers came reluctantly, some distracted, but Jack listened to every word as though the future of the world depended on it. He held Li Tutian's hand through breathing exercises, through lessons about music, and touch through talks about how babies could feel love long before they were born. One evening after class, he drove her home through quiet streets shimmering with rain. At a red light, he reached over, placed a hand on her belly, and whispered, "I want our baby to feel love before anything else. Before the world, before words. Just love." Weeks passed, and then one morning, as Jack played his guitar on the porch with sunlight pooling around him, it happened. Li Tutian gasped softly, her hand flying to her belly. A flutter, faint, quick, like the brush of wings from inside. Jack stopped playing immediately, eyes wide. She grabbed his hand, pressed it against her stomach, and together they felt it, the baby's first kick, small but certain, as if to say, "I hear you. I'm here." Jack laughed then, a sound rough with disbelief and wonder, before pulling her close forehead against hers. The melody he played after that was different, lighter, brighter, carrying the rhythm of 3 hearts instead of 2. Their evenings slowly turned into rituals of love. Soft guitar chords drifting through the air while Li Tutian read stories aloud, her voice low and melodic. Sometimes the baby kicked when Jack changed the chords, as though already developing a taste for music. Other nights they wrote letters in a small diary, simple notes like, "Today you kicked when Daddy played your song," or "Mommy craved mangoes at midnight." They imagined one day reading it all back to their child, laughing at the cravings, the clumsy cooking, the silly songs that filled this waiting time with warmth. Jack even transformed the spare room into a nursery. He painted the walls himself, a soft cream color, scattered with tiny golden stars. He assembled the crib with the same focus he once gave to boardroom presentations. But this time, there was no rush, no deadlines. Only quiet joy in every screw tightened, every blanket folded. One evening, he surprised Li Tutian with a handmade photo album. Inside were pictures of everything: the first ultrasound, their evening walks, the meals he cooked, the nights spent reading and laughing under warm lamplight. Next to each photo, he had written small captions in neat handwriting. "The day we heard you for the first time. The first kick. The meal Dad made with too much salt, but Mom ate anyway." Li Tutian read every page with tears streaming down her face, holding the album to her chest as if it were made of gold. "Our baby," she whispered, "will know love every single day." Jack simply held her, his silence saying more than words ever could. As months passed, the house grew quieter, calmer, as though holding its breath for the moment it would finally hear a newborn's cry. But inside those walls, love grew louder, in the soft strum of Jack's guitar, in the murmured bedtime stories, in the laughter that returned even on the hard days. Through it all, they discovered that family wasn't built in grand moments, but in small, ordinary days made sacred by love. From the first heartbeat to the first kick, from the golden walks in the park to the quiet nights writing letters to someone they hadn't yet met. Jack and Li Tutian were building more than a home. They were building a world where their child would enter, already surrounded by music, warmth, and unwavering love. And as the final weeks approached, when the crib stood ready and tiny clothes waited neatly folded, Jack often found himself pausing at the nursery door at night. Li Tutian would be asleep, one hand resting on her belly, the faint lamplight touching her face like a blessing. He would stand there in the quiet, heart full, knowing that soon the house would no longer be silent. Soon, the love that had filled their walls in songs, whispers, and diary pages would have a new sound. The heartbeat they had heard months ago, now beating loudly in the cry of the little life they had been waiting for all along.